not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
She's a defense attorney for deportation cases, and she has a very, very special, I shouldn't say special case, a case that I want you guys to share as much as possible, because I think it's important to get as much information out about this case, because it really kind of shows how horrible the immigration policies in this country are, and it's a bipartisan issue. Raha, Jorjani.
Hello. Hi, it's such a pleasure to be with you both. Thank you so much for having me, and good to see you.
Good to see you. Hey, thank you for taking some time to talk to me today. I know you're really, really busy because you're doing a big press push for your case, right?
That's right. I appreciate you both taking the time to have me on and helping raise awareness about the case of Walter Cruz. Insane facts.
So I'll try to be brief. I know you don't have a lot of time. You have a client, Walter Cruz. He gets picked up. He's been here for what, 20 plus years?
Yeah, he's been here since 2004, so going on 20 years.
And Walter gets picked up and he wins his asylum case. I should probably add, when he was a young man, he got tattooed by a government informant, a gang tattoo. So he's can't go back to his home country of El Salvador, which he doesn't even really know anymore, right? And he wins his asylum case. And then what happens?
So, sometimes I say the facts of Walter's case out loud, and I almost sort of can't even believe that we are where we are. But essentially, Walter presented his case to an immigration judge back in 2018. He did all the things he was supposed to do. He brought evidence and experts, country conditions, human rights reports, everything. And the judge said, yeah, you should be protected under U.S. laws. You have shown that you're more likely than not to be tortured if you return to El Salvador. Mm-hmm. And then the government appealed. The thing about the government appealing is that when an immigrant is detained and even if that immigrant wins their case and the government appeals, oddly enough, the immigrant stays in custody while the Department of Homeland Security appeals. So the case was appealed, and the appellate body, the Board of Immigration Appeals, sent the case back on a technicality and said, you gotta do this part again and fix this. So we did, and Walter won again. Once again,
so
two times.
And usually when you win your case, you get released, but no, he won his second case during the Trump regime, and it was a little different.
So he wins his case for a second time, and DHS appeals a second time. Which again, my feelings about the detention and deportation system, and they are strong feelings, aside, just on a basic legal level, I understand that each party has the right to appeal. Each party has the right to say, hey, the judge made a mistake and we want someone else to look at it. But where we have a problem is when one of those parties is put in a cage. And when one of those parties has to decide every single day to risk their life his life and his well-being and his separation from his family, just in order to exercise his right to appeal. The Department of Homeland Security is not in detention. The Department of Homeland Security's attorney doesn't have to deal with all of the psychological and physical terror of immigration detention when he's deciding, should I file this motion? Do I want to, continue fighting this case? But Walter does. So what we're asking for, what we've been asking for, and what we're really trying to get the public's help in helping us demand, helping the Alameda County Public Defender's Office, where I work. I'm an immigration attorney with the Alameda County Public Defender's Office, PD for life, had to shout that out. I think it wasn't said enough today. But our office is demanding his release. And what we're saying is we want it to be a fair fight. We want to make it so that Walter could be on the outside 3.5 years later, that enough is enough. And we want him to be on the outside while this case winds back up through the courts. And just to finish what I was saying about where the case is at, the second time it went on appeal, the board sent it back again. And this is essentially the Trump administration, because we're talking about the executive branch. We're not talking about independent courts. The Trump administration basically said, you know what, just redo the case all over again. And that doesn't make sense to me. So when I hear, I'm glad you played the Bill Clinton clip, because when I hear Bill Clinton talking about a nation of laws, really makes me pause.
Well, that's that immigration reform starts during the Clinton administration, which is probably around the time you're getting out of law school.
That's right. All of the, people think that all of this is something that, certainly what happened under the last president, who I'd like to not name, was despicable and a horror show. But I think it's really important for people to understand that most of what he was putting into place was legal. The parts that were legal because of what Bill Clinton signed into law. And when I hear him talk about a nation of laws and the importance of following laws, and then you have Walter Cruz sitting in detention, undergoing prolonged unconstitutional detention, and somebody's talking about, let's just redo his case 3.5 years into the case. I mean, people who have watched any legal drama on TV know that a new court you don't just get a do-over in the law, right?
And it was forcing him to go back to El Salvador. And I don't know if because I know you're, nose deep in this case, of course, but there was a story that came out about a detention center. I want to say it was in the South. And by the way, Pascal, my co-host, is an attorney as well. That they were threatening the ICE or the Border Patrol or ICE, I forget which one it was. I think it was Border Patrol, were threatening the Cameroonian detainees with COVID if they didn't say they were going to go back. Did you hear about that too, Pascal?
I think I have mentioned. I read something about that, about COVID-19, the detainees, and
they were threatening them like, we're going to give you COVID unless you go back and quit trying to fight your case.
The question that I'd like to ask is that this kind of posturing about immigration that we saw being placed at the feet of the Trump administration as some kind of draconian, almost insane reactionary posture. Why do you think it is that more people are not willing to realize that this has been almost a 25-year bipartisan consensus when it comes to immigration? And quite frankly, George W. Bush, the son, was probably the more progressive of all of the last presidents we've had, from Trump, from Clinton to Bush to Obama to Trump, on the matter. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I don't know that I can explain it, but I completely agree with that analysis. We have failed our Black and Brown communities and our immigrant communities in the United States for such a long time. And we have failed on both sides. And I think one of the reasons that we as a country fall into this trap over and over again is because we're not telling the whole truth. We're scared to tell the whole truth. The whole truth is that our nation has had so many instances where it's gone to other countries and taken actions that have then made those countries unlivable, or made the water undrinkable, made it so that people can't get jobs, made it so that there are military occupations, and so on and so forth. Regardless of what we even think about those things, the truth is that we have done that as a nation. And so the irony when then people from those very countries come knocking on our doors for refuge and for safe haven, the fact that we then, we begin the story there about, whether or not they committed a crime and so on and so forth. That's not where the story started. The story started a long time ago with respect to what we did in other countries. And so I think if we could actually even just be honest about that, we would be having this conversation in a far, far different framework.
To hear the rest of this show and more, you can find us at This Is Revolution Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Pandora, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Also, you can find a new episode of the show every Wednesday on the Zero Books channel. This is Revolution.